This is Show versus Business, where pop culture meets pop money with your host, the real Theo Harvey, and Mr. Benja with all the relevant information. So, Mr. Benja, what's been going on?
What's been going on? We got some good ones this week. We've been talking some noise. X-Men 97 came out. We're talking about Disney. We wonder if they got a good deal with Marvel and Star Wars. With some weird stuff came up. The Pooniverse. Yes, Winnie the Pooh universe. We'll get into that. The Acolyte trailer came out, and we are all magical Negroes, apparently. We're going to talk a little bit about that movie. Maybe we'll get to it. Maybe we won't. But even more importantly, we have a guest here, the third panel in the slot. Theo, who is this?
Yeah, who is this? Dr. Chris, pop culture extraordinaire, physician for the people. Man, what is going on with you, man? How are you doing,
Uh,
Dr. Chris? You want to just introduce yourself to everyone.
yeah, I think the moniker Dr. Chris says it all, to be honest with you. No, for real. It's an honor to be here. I'm looking forward to talking some X-Men 97. Um, it was great to go back to the 90s, and I have some pop culture prowess. I'm a child of the 80s and the 90s. And so that's when all the greatest shows came out, like
Shots
A
fired.
Different World. Oh, sorry, Transformers. Oh, Voltron. Let's not forget Thundercats, and X-Men is right up my alley. I appreciate you guys inviting me.
That's good.
Absolutely, absolutely. So just side note, all three of us went to the best college you can ever go to for undergrad, Florida A&M. You can see my diploma there, and I'm wearing a shirt representing. We never were all roommates at one time, but we've all been in the same room multiple times doing various video games. So
You need to clean that up. Please.
we've been in a room, all three in the room at the same time. It's true. Phrasing, phrasing. So yes, we know each other for a long time over wow. Oh my goodness.
Over 20
Almost 30
years.
years. Yeah, almost 30 years. 3 decades in, 10 toes down. Yes, we do it all. Yeah, we're gonna get into it. So yeah, let's get right into it, Mr. Benja. What is going on with X-Men 97? Let's talk about it. What is that? So, do you want to get into it, Mr. Benja? I know you're the
No, I didn't
neophyte
see it. I
here.
didn't see it. You guys saw it. You're gonna have to bring me up to speed. I don't mind if you spoil. Apparently, there are only 2 episodes, so you
So
know,
far, so
so
far,
far,
and we
yeah,
we
so
are
far.
looking forward to Wednesdays now.
That's yeah, the Wednesday night drop. Exactly. I hadn't seen it, but this was one of those shows that came out, and people were thinking, "Oh, what's going to be the next Marvel show? What's going to be the next Star Wars show? What's Disney going to do next?" And when this was announced, people were, "Wait, we're doing X-Men again? We're coming back with that? Okay." And they were pulling another nostalgia play. And that's pretty much what all Marvel and all Star Wars was for Disney is a nostalgia play. So they did an even deeper cut and said, let's go pick up on that cartoon, reintroduce that and see where it takes us. And I think people had fallen off the radar a little bit with the whole Marvel thing until they started seeing the animation and they started the new remade theme song came out and people were like, "Oh, okay, this is about to be a thing." And it's getting some traction out there. I'm happy to hear that. As I said, I didn't watch it yet. You guys can spoil all you want, but I'm hyped that it's hype and you guys have seen it. So let me know what you think about it.
Yeah, let's deep dive in that a little bit real quick. This is show versus business, so we talk a little bit about the business aspect of entertainment. So one of the things that's interesting, Kevin Feige's name is all on this. Strategically, we know Marvel is looking to or the MCU is looking to introduce mutants into the MCU. So
Mhm.
this is a very strategic play to start that peppering. We saw a little bit in some of the previous Marvel movies like Doctor Strange, right, and others. So they're going to see more, and the Marvels, right? I don't know if you guys saw that at the end,
Mhm.
the tag at the end. So they're doing more and more of this. Hey, mutants are coming, because and Kevin Feige is a master strategist and marketer, so he knows what he's doing, trying to get people super hyped for X-Men again. And what better way to do that than let's do a nostalgia play, right? Let's take it back to the 90s and go back to an old cartoon that we all watched multiple times and knew all the storylines and bringing back a lot of various voice actors. So it just even when you watch it, it takes you right back to where you were Saturday morning with your Cheerios or whatever you're eating at that time, Pop Tarts, and just wow, I'm in high
Cookies,
school
Quarts Up,
again.
Pop Tarts in the 40s. Uh,
Hey, yeah, you're right, man.
I mean, but to your point, man, the business aspect of it, the probably the biggest investment they had to make was to get the rights to the X-Men's opening music, right? Those voice actors aren't going to cost as much as these expensive actors that need more and more money as they do more and more movies. And animation, it is drawn, but it's like a combination of 2D and 3D animation. So
Mm.
it's not going to be the multi-million-dollar investment that a live action movie requires.
Yeah, good point. That's a fair point, and it's also a quick way to test the waters to see which type of mutants people want to see too. I think also, right? Because as we all know, X Men is like what, dude? They're talking about
Hundreds,
hundreds of X
hundreds.
Men out there, and so
Yeah.
this is a lot of the X Men. We can go into the comics, right? The core five, right? The original, but the TV shows are like the ones that a lot of people grew up on like Gambit. He's not part of the original, which is was it Beast? Let's see. See, I'm gonna do my bona fides here. It was Beast. It was
Angel
Jean Grey, Cyclops, Angel, right? He doesn't even show up really. And then who was the other one? And
morphs into Angel when the
that's a
X
good point.
X-Men,
He
yeah.
sure does. We'll get into that in a second. But so anyway, so this is the show that got us all hyped about X-Men. And even before that, of course, I can't remember. Mr. Benjamin, you a little bit, maybe you may remember Chris. Was there another X-Men show before this, or this was like the first major cartoon one?
No,
It's the
I
only
remember Iceman showed up in the Spider-Man and His Amazing
And
Friends
his
movie.
Amazing Friends, that's right.
Iceman and
And
Firestar.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, she was a mutant too, quote
Mm.
unquote, but I never seen her again. Uh,
Well, they're going to be very liberal with the way they use the mutant moniker moving forward. I believe. I think
I
very
think so
liberal.
too. Yeah, I think so. But there's some cool mutants out there. Maybe we'll get into it. Let's get into Mr. Benja. We're gonna go ahead. Do you want to get into spoiler territory now, so we can just talk about me and Dr. Chris liked it? We can do
Yeah,
that
yeah.
right now. Get into it.
Yeah, well,
So,
I wanna know your impressions and all.
yeah. So first of all, super hype about this. My expectations going here was super hype. And then when I saw that the trailer for it, the expectation got even higher. I was like, okay, this looks pretty good, a little juicy. And then I went in so with high expectations, and then I watched it. Man, it's really good. I liked it. I really liked it, and I like the storylines, even though it still got that hokiness to it, that 90s kind of vibe to it and color scheme. And if you read the comics, they did one scene where they're on the basketball court with their cutoff jeans and the midriffs,
Yeah,
you
that's
know.
right. That's right.
I
Gambit
was
with his shirt off, looking like he's in Top Gun. You know,
remember that comic book, Mr. Benja? I don't know if you remember this, Chris, but there was there was a famous comic book with cover where they were all at a basketball court, right? They would just had their shirts off and bikinis and everybody. That's what they did. Remember in the
Yeah,
90s,
yeah.
all the comic book art we had big breasts, all the women had big breasts, and the guys had all 8 packs. It was just like,
right.
yes, take it back to the 90s, baby. Yeah, man, that got me excited. So yeah, Dr. Chris, what were your thoughts when you watched it? Were you hyped going in? And did that hypeness maintain as you watched the first 2 episodes?
So just as JR and I spoke about the live action of Avatar and how people have been disappointed with that because they had expectations going in. I've chosen to mentally have zero expectations going into these new reboots because if you bring the nostalgia too much, you can find yourself very disappointed with something that's not the same quality as what you experienced when you were younger. Um, the beautiful part about this show, man, they came with it. It was perfect. Like I came in with zero expectations and I was brought right back to the 90s and being in 10th and 11th grade, about to move on to college, enjoying the show when they brought out the opening scene. Now they changed the opening scene a little bit. There are a few other people like Gambit wasn't part. Wait, no.
Gambit
Who's the
was in
dude
it?
that absorbs energy? Bishop wasn't part of the
Bishop.
opening scene before.
Mhm.
They put him in there. And Morph wasn't a part of the opening scene before, I don't think. So they changed that a little bit. But as soon as I heard the new music, and then I gotta say that opening fight scene was fantastic with Cyclops. Who knew Cyclops had those kind of chops? Because I thought he was just the leader that could blow some stuff up with his eyes, and he was always crying, "No, I need my glasses. I lost my glasses." But this time he wasn't crying about it at all. He lost his glasses. He's like, "I'm so scared." Just blow y'all up.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that happened in both episodes. Both episodes, he lost his visor, and he
Oh,
was chill
yeah.
about it. He took that beating like a champ in the second episode, but he wasn't crying about losing his visor. So yeah, no, they did a good job just bringing us in with the intro.
Yeah, yeah, and Mr. Benja, yeah, we haven't seen it yet, the intro, the theme music, right?
Yeah, I
And
did
then
see
you
that.
have at the end, they have the both sides clash. Charles Xavier with his with a little circle of bubbles pumping out his head, and you got Magneto with his fist, and they all come clashing. You just like, "Oh, I'm back."
And they had a
Like,
little guitar riff in there too,
oh,
in
that's
the
the
music.
right. Yeah, they
Had
switched
a
it up,
little
and then some of the scenes are a little different. I think the scene from the first and second episodes, the theme song, they have little scenes that are a little different from both, right? Just give you a little different taste. But yeah, perfect nostalgia play, right? Music is the best time travel instrument, right? You just go instantly. You can hear
Yeah,
any
it takes
song,
you back.
right? You go instantly back in time, and they knew exactly what they were doing with that. You can't mess with that intro, man. That's
So let me
probably.
ask
I'll
you
be honest with you. Let me
go
just
ahead.
say this
Go ahead,
real quick.
Theosis.
I think that's probably one of the things that they mess with Avatar, the live action. You got to do the same intro, man. I don't care what
Yeah.
you do. You can't change up the intro. You gotta have Qatar do the prequel, and you gotta have Earth. You gotta have the people doing that. You can't. I mean, do a little bit, but you gotta have it almost exactly right, and so that people can just get transported. But anyway, so yeah, what were you gonna ask?
I think we can all agree that DC has had a stranglehold on the animation side of things in terms of what they've done with their animation, their animated movies. Do you think the people over at DC, James Gunn, probably not, but do you think the execs over at DC are like shaking their boots after seeing what they did with the X-Men and stuff?
I don't know, Mr. Bitcher. What do you think?
I'm so mad at DC. Oh god, every ball you give them, they've been fumbling it, throwing interceptions, stepping out of bounds. DC's just been having issues, and animation was that one area we thought they could maintain their ground, but now it's like X-Men 97 and people are, "Oh, what's Marvel doing with animation?" So, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
they
they
they're
had what's the other one? What if too? That's getting a little play as
actually,
well.
yeah, What If is solid, so DC
Yeah,
messing
the thing about What If is that they tie it into the live action stuff, right? I think that I wonder if they're going to try and do that with the X-Men animation, or if they're just saying, "Hey, this is what we're thinking," and then they're going to create something else.
That's a good point because if you saw the Marvel's tag, you remember who popped up? Beast. And what version of Beast was it?
the old
The
one.
version yeah,
Oh
the
yeah,
old one. Yeah,
yeah.
from the, original X-Men series. So it looked like hey, real talk. Kevin Feige, even though he started MC, he was a associate producer on both those X-Men properties, those
Oh,
movies.
I
So
did not
Kevin
know that.
Feige's been around for a minute. He worked as he was a small-time producer then. He wasn't Kevin Feige with the hat, but he was there. And so he knows those storylines and those actors and the characters when it comes to the movie form very intimately. It'd be curious to
Mm,
see. So we saw two MCU properties. We already saw Beast popped up twice, right?
Yeah.
So
right.
I'm assuming we're gonna see Beast coming up again in the movie version of X-Men.
Oh, so this year they are going to try and with Deadpool coming out, I'm sure they're going to have plenty of cameos from the X-Men and Deadpool, right?
Absolutely. That's the rumor. It's gonna be
I
kind of
never,
like
yeah,
yeah, that's what they're saying. It's gonna be no Spider-Man No Way Home, right? With
yeah.
going back to nostalgia. I mean, not only just bringing back Hugh Jackman as X-Men as Wolverine, but there's a lot of actors who gonna pop up here. Hey, I'm here for good or worse. Holly Berry popping up as Storm again. I think it has
Oh
mixed
god.
reviews. Do you know what happens when a toad gets struck by lightning? Best line ever. Yes.
You I guess there could be a play there because there were interesting things in those X-Men, movies, but if they
Name
really like
one. No, I was playing. Well, no,
if
seriously, what would you
Well, I
like to
mean,
see pop up again?
in Days of Future Past, Hallie had very few speaking lines, and that was perfect. Perfect. She didn't mess
Mr.
up
Benja,
Storm's
what
accent or anything. Sorry, Mr. Benja, go ahead.
yeah, but what were you gonna say? What do you think is the things that they would take out of the well, you're right. What they
no,
were in the early 2000s was perfect. Obviously, Wolverine was the best thing out of that, let's
mhm.
be honest. So that's why he's coming back for Deadpool. But
Well, no,
beyond
they've already pulled back, as you said, Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, and then they pulled in Patrick Stewart's his old self. They had rolled him out, and it was a good role, but you could tell that he's aged since he did the first role. So it's okay. What else can they pull from this that people enjoyed? There was the Quicksilver. People enjoyed him, and they brought him into WandaVision for a hot second.
That
The
wasn't a part of the original one, though. I'm talking about the original movies back in 2000, early 2000s, because Quicksilver was in it
No,
was
no.
more the Days of Future Past. Okay, I see what you're
Yeah,
saying.
yeah, that one. When they did the slow motion scenes that every
Yeah.
slow motion, super fast motion scenes, whatever you wanna call them, that he was involved in, no, that's why they put him in WandaVision, and everybody's lost their collective minds when they saw him. They're like, "Oh, here comes the crossover." That energy is still there, so you start bringing in little elements of that with the whole multiverse thing, and, yeah, it's just and we've got plenty of time to actually seed all that stuff in because the X-Men aren't coming up right away. We've still got like Fantastic Four, and if they're going to do anything with Kang and all that, they've still got to get that out of the way. So we've
Mhm.
got time for it to build up.
Yeah, that's a fair point. So as we go back to the episode itself, Chris, do you remember any of the storylines before that point? I didn't. I guess I could have went back and watched a couple
So
before I
hold on,
got
hold on,
into
hold on
this.
before you do that. They ended with the whole season with what's his name dying,
Lalandra,
right?
yeah, Lalandra
Who
taking him back to her planet because he was going to die on
Mm.
Earth. You're talking about Charles Xavier, right?
I can't remember how it ended.
Oh yeah, Charles. I don't know how he got. I think there's an assassination attempt on him, and he was dying. And the only way for him to survive, if you guys remember Lalandra, she was from some planet several light years away. He mentally called to her and said, "I need your help," and then she came and took him with her. So he didn't
well,
technically.
Dr. Chris, I gotta ask you, is that off the dome or did you actually have to
Oh,
rewatch it?
I rewatched it about a year ago. I rewatched all
Okay.
of the X-Men about a year ago. No,
Okay.
this isn't my. That's
Damn,
not straight
that's
off.
impressive.
Give him
Right.
And in episode 22, that's when Captain Xavier, he saw
prep time, baby. Give him prep time. He can't be stopped.
But I haven't rewatched it since I watched it a year ago, so I do remember
Gotcha.
that, and I
So
also remember
technically
that.
he didn't die in that, is that
Mm-mm.
correct? Okay.
No, he didn't.
Okay, so I'm
But
looking at it, The Ringer. They gave a quick synopsis here. In the 97 series finale, Graduation Day, Professor X is nearly killed by Henry Garrick. His only chance to be saved is this next alien technology, so he leaves Earth and his beloved X-Men to travel the far reaches of space. It ends with a touching farewell between Xavier and his students. And it's also a cliffhanger conclusion that has plenty of mileage remaining. So they are picking up exactly where they left off, is what you're saying.
Technically not. Spoiler alert. So let's
Oh,
get into it.
okay.
Isn't he dead? They're pretty much saying he's dead in this now. Did they say that in so many
I don't
words?
think so. No, I know. So the news, the media thinks that he's dead.
Okay.
The media thinks that he's dead. So when you heard them say that he was successfully assassinated, the media is putting that out there, and also who did you say tried to assassinate him? Whoever they went to
Garrick.
jail to see, Garrett. Garrett thinks that he was successful,
That's good.
but nobody else in his circle believes that he's dead.
We'll talk about that too. There
Oh,
is a will
okay.
and testament, right? So it's
By
like,
all, I mean, he's basically dead because he's
okay,
not there.
gotcha.
But I think that
Gotcha.
there's an opportunity for them to bring him back, and they will. I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
they
well,
will.
yeah. How many times have they killed off Professor X in the comics, Mr. Benja? At least 100 times. So yeah, he
Yeah.
dies, he comes back. They all do. Wolverine, yeah, everybody dies and comes back. Which they're going to hint at, I think, with this next episode, Jean Grey, but we'll talk about that later. In this, the first episode, like you point, I guess they're reintroducing all the characters again. And so I think they're doing a course correction on Cyclops because he did come off as a little bit of a punk, even in the movies. He wasn't even the comic books, he didn't see it. Basically, he got all the girls though. He got Jean Grey. Who else did he get? All the girls wanted to get with him, but I just, other than that, he was just lame as a character.
Yeah.
Like you said, my glasses, don't take my glasses, I need my cool red sunglasses. I'm gonna kill you. So I think they're trying to course correct on that because he can come off a little Boy Scottish. But yeah, I like that revamp. You want to get into that fight again? Like he was just, I guess,
Yeah, yeah,
dropping
Well, I mean,
bodies.
if they made Captain America cool, they can do Cyclops.
Good point. Good
that's
point.
fair.
That's pretty much it. That's a good analogy. I think you're right. That is a great analogy.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But with this episode, the episode starts out with this group that's collecting mutants, right?
Mhm.
They're collecting mutants, and they say that someone is paying them $10,000 a piece for mutants. And it was either going to be Trask, right, who I think is still alive in this, or it's going to be Mr. Sinister, right? That does it. And the only reason that brought back to mind for me is because in the opening credits, they showed Morph and they showed Mr. Sinister in the opening
Yeah.
credits. I'm like, oh, so
Well,
maybe it's him.
did they show him or did they show? I thought it was in shadow. And you saw those
In
two things.
shadow. In
Yep.
shadow. It's the only because that was a big thing with the 90s show was that Morph was killed by Sentinels, they thought, and then it turned out that Mr. Sinister had been experimenting on him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Sinister, cool character
I
in
like
the
him.
comics. What do you think, Dr. Chris?
I think he's aptly named because for you to do all these experiments on mutants and think it's all good and you think you're doing the best for I think he's aptly named. Is he a cool character? I think he's a pretty evil character. They should keep him around.
Yeah. I thought he was, for a name like Mr. Sinister, he should be like the ultimate big bad for the X-Men, but he never is. He's just always in the shadows doing machinations. And I was like, I never liked cool design, love his design. But when you get his backstory, I think he was some aristocrat in the English time. He's just, oh, I just like to experiment. I'm like, come on, dude. do some direct action, man. He never wants to confront you. He's always behind the scenes doing stuff, right? Now, what's his name?
Are you about to leave Mr. Sinister?
Well, no, were you about to say something about Mr. Sinister?
I have a theory about him, but if we're not done with him, carry on discussing, and then I'll throw in the theory.
No, go ahead. Throw in the theory.
All right, so you remember the Eternals, right?
Oh,
The Eternals movie.
do we have to?
All right, I think that they plugged this character in there. I sent a link to the image in there. I think they wanted him to possibly be a Mr. Sinister as he evolved, experimenting
Oh.
on things, trying to figure stuff out. If you notice the colors, the thing on his head, and he has all the little striations in his muscles and everything, that's totally Mr. Sinister's vibe. Just putting that out there. If a couple years later he comes in and shows up in the movies, I'm calling it
So
my
that's
prediction.
a modern take on Mr. Sinister is what you're saying. Like,
I believe that's what they were going for. That
okay.
leaving that possibility open.
Gotcha.
You see the
We'll
see the
see.
picture?
Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
All right.
I could name this guy, put him in a lineup. I wouldn't know a thing, but sure. But yeah, I see the color scheme. But yeah, Mr. Sinister was always cool to me somewhat, but I felt he was obviously Apocalypse is the best all time. Of course, Magneto, but he goes back and forth. But Apocalypse is probably he's got best of both worlds. He'll confront you and beat you down, but he also is doing the machinations, right? Kind of what's his name? Shoot, from Avengers. Who was the big bad Avengers? I'm drawing a blank. I should know this.
Thanos.
Yeah, Thanos. Thanos the same way. That's the best villain. You got to confront people and you got to do stuff on the background. And Mr. Sinister is always in the background. He's never like out there swapping punches with Wolverine.
Oh,
I
he's
mean, I
not gonna
guess
get physical. He's not gonna he's gonna
so.
he's somebody that he's manipulated is going to jump in front of him as your punch is going towards him.
Yeah, which it makes yeah, good point. So anyway, we digress. But Morph, I forgot about Morph. I thought he had died in the first episode of the X-Men cartoon back in the day. And maybe I dropped off watching it when I kind of caught because it was still going on when we were in college. Yeah, I may have dropped off watching. I think Spider-Man still had my attention. That was going on too. But I forgot Morph had died, but then they brought him back, and like you said, they found out. So that's why he shows up in the intro again. So that was cool. And I think the big storyline when we were Bishop,
Did they just leave that as they brought him back, or
yeah, what
Well,
happened?
so you never
because
see him die.
Mr. Sinister was supposed to have brought him back,
Yeah,
or
you
like
never see him die in the first episode. They just wind up leaving him because they're like, we have to go or we're all
Right.
going to die.
God,
I don't know. I don't know if Mr. Sinister was working with the people that were dealing with the Sentinels, and he was like, "Give them to me. I got some good stuff I'm gonna do." But it became a major plot point in later seasons in the original cartoon.
Yeah, well,
Gotcha,
that was
gotcha.
that was the thing because he showed back up exactly like Mr. Sinister had stuff to do with him, and he couldn't remember or think straight, and Mr. Sinister was in the back like, "Yeah, I got this Morph kid. Wait, what happened?"
Yeah,
And
and
then
some of those Morph was going back into the school and messing with the danger room and trying to kill people. He was angry.
oh wow, okay, because they left him behind to get pretty
Mhm.
much tortured by Mr. Sinister. Okay, I vaguely remember that storyline. So they put him in the title, and a new one, like you said, is Bishop. Because definitely remember that was just the Days of Future Past was a big storyline, right?
Yeah.
Where they introduced Bishop, and even the '90s Bishop. So once again, we're gonna do this with a lot of X-Men. Cool character, Mr. Bishop.
Man, you know what? He was always he sold the people out. That was his job, man, to sell people out.
Regardless,
I don't know if you
regardless.
remember.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Benja. That's Benja.
I don't know if you remember. That was his thing. He was like capturing mutants and selling them and jumping across time and bringing them back. And he's like, yeah. And then the Sentinels were like, "Hey, we don't need you anymore." And he got all pissed. And he was like, "I'll go join the X-Men." Yeah, it's like, come on, buddy. You over here selling out to the man with your Jerry
Yeah.
curl and yeah, yeah,
And the big
That's
old
so
M,
low, man.
the
That's
big old
so
M on
low.
his eye, the big old
yeah.
M. Just hardly.
Apparently, that's like a brand
Well, that's what I'm saying.
ambassador.
That's a pretty terrible place to get a brand, man. Yeah, I thought
But I
just excesses of 90s, man. They take all the 80s and 90s. Oh, look at these models. Look how they dress. Oh, look at clothing. Let's just make a character like this. And they just put Bishop. Cable's like that too. We'll talk about him later. Just like big biceps, big gun. That's pretty much it. It's a Jerry.
we were pining for black characters back then too, though, right? So if I saw a black character in a cartoon, I'm like, all right, okay, that's my boy. But you got to bag him up.
And they sent us a sellout.
It's interesting stuff.
Hey, they want a black
And,
character.
and,
How about
and,
this
and
one?
when you go back and watch the old cartoon, all the exposition that Storm does when she makes rain and thunder and lightning come is hilarious. All the extra words that she says, it was like, can you just strike someone with lightning, please? And that's what happened to Hallie. She had all these things. She had to try and ham it up and say what was happening the way that they did in the cartoon. It just does not work. It's corny.
No, live action. Yeah, yeah. Good point. Good point. So anyway, so Bishop and Morph are in the opening credits. And so the first episode basically just does a day in the life of them fighting sins. And they introduce Sunspot, right? The mutant. What's his real name? The Costa. Was it Rob or Robert?
Roberto Acosta.
Yep. Cool concept because he's just a rich kid, and that's how he was introducing the New Mutants, right, Mr. Benja? If I remember correctly. Just this rich kid from Brazil that just has a good time. And he said, I don't want no part of this, man. Yeah, I got money. Just leave me alone.
I don't remember. I just thought he was cool as hell because he just sucked up all the light in the room and turned into this black visage.
Yeah, yeah.
Little sunspots popping up around him.
Yeah. So yeah. Cool character. Sunspot.
Oh,
I think so.
Yeah. Design was cool. I don't know what he did. I don't think he had a major storyline I can remember that was interesting. But I thought that they did that in the first X-Men movie and in the cartoon. Jubilee was the what they call it, the audience surrogate, right? To introduce you to this world. Sunspot was similar, right? He comes in, I don't know what's going on. I'm just a rich kid, leave me alone. And he's introducing you to this whole world from his perspective. And obviously Jubilee is part of that. Now, cool character for me, Jubilee is not a cool character in the movies or in the comic books. She's just a cool kid that they said, hey, look, she looks like a girl from the 80s that went to the mall a lot. But I never really liked her.
I remember you like poo-pooing on her. Oh man, what's she gonna do? Throw fireworks at us? Get out of here. I actually remember
Facts,
that.
fam. Chris, just back me up here? Is Jubilee a cool character when you throw fireworks?
She is not a cool character, but they can do something with her similar to what they did to Cyclops. Because I did not know that Cyclops could move himself around the room by using his laser beams to do that. And they did that in the first episode. I didn't know that he could stop himself in free fall 9.8 meters per second squared and blast his eye beam down to the ground and stop himself.
Screw a parachute. I did see that clip. That clip
That was
going
cool.
around.
Yeah, that was cool clip. Because it was like they were all like they blew up the plane, the Sentinels, and they're all in free fall. And they just woke up, oh yeah, I can fly. So Rogue and Storm fly off.
Yeah.
And then he said, go get everybody else. And then and then morphs into Angel. And he said, I'm good.
Wolverine.
Yeah. And he said, I'm good.
He's like, all right, good job, team. I'll see you at the bottom. Yeah. You never know if they could do something like that with Jubilee. We don't know. And they can do anything with these characters. Jubilee's powers could evolve.
Yeah,
Well,
they never really.
they've done this in the comics now. There's this whole concept called Omega level, right? Certain mutants who are super powerful, they're almost like God, right? And Storm is one of them. They created a character called, was it Gold Balls, Mr. Benja? I think that was his name, or
I
you
don't
know
know
what
if
I'm
I
talking
want to
about?
read that. Gold ball.
I'm gonna look it up.
Was that a reference that Jubilee was making when she's, what is your power? Can you throw gold
Yes,
balls?
that's the
Really?
reference. Yes.
Hey, I had
So
no
there's I don't want to get too deep into this. This is where the
Wait,
deepness.
that's the funniest thing I've ever heard in a while. Gold balls.
Gold balls.
I'm just talking best. I don't think that's his name.
Fabio Medina.
Huh?
Fabio Medina. Yeah.
Gold. That's his real name. That's his real name. Fab. Yep. Sure is. Gold Balls. is a mutant with the superhuman ability to project at high speed gold-colored, non-viable, ball-shaped eggs.
God
So,
damn
the
it.
reason I bring that
Stupid.
character up, because yeah, that was a reference, Dr. Chris, that they brought up. They made this character super powerful in the in this new release in the comic books, because now it's a way for mutants can be resurrected anytime, and and they made it a sense that his eggs are actually his balls are actually eggs, and they use that to create new mutants. So basically, he's like this. I'm a deity where he can help recreate any kind of mutant. If someone dies in the battlefield, he just pops out one of his balls, and they hatch another mutant.
Comics are wild.
They
Unnecessary.
wilding, dog. Wilding out here. Dude named Gold Balls, man, out here dropping eggs, making mutants. So
Man, if you're gonna give me a gold ball, at least scramble it for me, please. I want it scrambled or hard boiled.
I love it, man. So, anyways, so that's these mutants are doing their thing. Like you said, they can Jubilee could absolutely be powered up in this series. So I'll be curious to see. But all she did in this first episode was dance, which I guess was cool.
Dance
Um,
with
He
don't
came
forget
in clutch
the
in the
dance.
comics
The
at
dance was
times.
like this while she was throwing fire.
it wasn't you, Chris, Dr. Chris, but did the eye line seem a little weird? They were looking, one eye was moving like this, one eye's like, oh, they could have worked on that a little bit better. They were trying to put more emotion in their faces. Mr. Benja, when you see it, you'll notice you can't unsee it. It's almost like AI created their eye movement. Hi, Chris. How are you doing? You know?
Might be fixed by the time I get to it.
Yeah, there probably would be. So anyway, the big reveal in the first episode is there's a will and testament, which I thought meant that Xavier has officially died. But to your point, Dr. Chris, that could just be a wish or something that they're going to retrofit later. But Magneto shows up. And so he takes over the X-Men because Dr. Charles Xavier has willed it that he will take over the X-Men. And that's when we end the first episode. Magneto,
Oh,
good character, cool character.
hold on. Before we get into that. So this 10 episode series, it's all a contiguous story. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's
Okay, so
what it
it's all
looks
meant
like.
to be just one big story. Okay.
It's contiguous with the comics from with the cartoon from '92. So this is basically season 6.
Okay. Cool.
Okay, Clone Wars when they brought season 7, like a continuation of that, but updated because this was in what almost 30 years ago. So yeah.
Right.
So yeah, Magneto, I always thought he was a cool character. They could do so much with him. And then I like the fact that they always juxtapose him as basically, if you think Charles Xavier is Martin Luther King, Magneto is Malcolm X. By any means necessary, we're gonna take down. And so now put him on the side, the good side, which they've done multiple times in the comic books, gives it an added layer of interesting mix because at the end of the day, he doesn't care for human beings, but because of his friend, Charles Xavier. So I always thought that was an interesting concept. So Chris, Dr. Chris, you and I have been friends, Mr. Benja. What if we just came at crossroads? I believe people should eat eggs on Tuesday. I don't believe that. And we just create these armies and we're fighting each other and you beat me up a couple times and I beat you up. We still friends? We playing chess?
This
on
is what I would
Tuesday?
say. I think it is the definition of true friendship to be able to have disagreements and arguments and understand that you all are different people. You think differently, you have different experiences and different emotions. You process things differently and just accept each other for what it is. Now, is this an extreme version of that? In that if you take everything, there are times where Magneto's trying to just murder Charles. All right, buddy. Oh, you chose the wrong
Sorry,
side.
man. We still play chess on Tuesdays, though, right?
That's right. But I think
I
it
had
is
the rockets and you got in the way. Why didn't you just leave the city? The whole
Yeah.
city limits are gone. Why are you there?
But it's a testament to what I would call true friendship. So they're more than friends; they're brothers. And the way I see it.
Yeah.
You know what? I think the closest I've had to that was a guy I tried to get fired from a job, and we were both
This is
working.
your friend, not a guy. This is a friend, right?
Yeah, had lunch together and everything.
Using
Had
our
to go.
analogy.
Friend had to go. I was just like, look, man, this job's not right, and I need to get this guy out of here. And he was doing the same thing to me too. But we saw each other at E3 one year, and we were just like, hey, yeah, talked, hung out, and it was like, huh, this guy's still here.
So
All
that's
right.
a little bit different. That's
Yeah.
that's a great that's a great story. That's a great story. And I think, but this is different because you're talking about philosophies. I think just a better example is two people up until 2016 were great friends, and then one supported Trump and one supported Obama, or one supported Clinton. In that class, like the complete polar opposites in the way that they see the world, and they're supporting different, but they're able to remain friends through that.
That's a fair point. I think that's a great example.
I think
'Cause,
the word
there was
friends
a
becomes something
documentary.
different at that point.
What do you mean?
Probably.
Yeah, I don't know if it's associates or long held friend. I don't know, something. Just
Well, I can see the point where you just don't bring that up with your friend, right? You like hanging with them, y'all go bowling or whatever, but I'm not even gonna go there with them, because I know what he's gonna say, and you
right.
kind of keep it at that. Now, because they did, there was a documentary on Max about the insurrectionists. One you guys saw that, and what's her name? Pelosi's daughter. She's a documentarian, and she went to all the insurrectionists' house and just introduced to the January 6th people who stormed the Capitol. And she went to their house and just talked to them and they were regular people until that day, friends and everything, and they just got caught up in the moment, and now they're branded as these insurrectionists, right? And so I think, at the end of the day, people, human to human, you connect to people. I always thought this too, not to get too philosophical, black and white, one on one, I think we can get along with anybody. But it's like when we're in aggregate and we're part of a crowd of folks, then it becomes stereotypical. This is how white people act. This is how black people act. And it's like, okay. So to your point, Chris, I see your point. It's like they could still be friends, but is extreme because yes, they are throwing missiles at each other, and I don't think I would do that to my friend. But
Right.
I don't know. I don't have mutant powers either. But yeah, so Magneto comes up across the fold, and I thought that was so cool. And the second episode, just continuation of
Wait,
that.
before we get to the second episode, I did want to bring up their fight against the Sentinels and Master Mold. I thought that was a really well choreographed fight prior to Magneto coming to the house.
What'd you think? What'd you like about it?
I like to see them work as a team.
Mhm.
I thought that the animation around that was very easy to follow and very clear, which I think previously in the previous cartoon, seeing them work as a team was a little bit more less
Chaotic. Yeah.
cohesive, a little more chaotic. This time it was very cohesive.
Oh yeah, the one that got me, that part where they got me hype on the trailer was when you
yes.
see
Hold on. Well, let me guess. You talk about when Gambit jumped on Wolverine's back. Is that there yet? Okay.
That's it.
yes, that was the hype
Yeah.
one. Yeah, you just see
Yeah.
Wolverine did the Gambit jumps on his back and they just charging up and he's getting his pipe. And then the other part you don't see in the trailer was, I think, Morph turns into the Blob and then Wolverine jumps on him and then takes out the Sentinel.
Master Mold. He takes out Master Mold.
Oh, he takes out the one that
Yeah.
creates the Sentinels. But that's a whole nother concept, man. I gotta get into what's happening in the comic books. They actually use Master Mold to create a new race of mutants, and then they. So anyway, I
Oh,
digress.
wow.
In the comic books, they get wild. They be wilding. Yeah.
Episode
So
2
anyway,
started.
yeah. So that was episode 1. So yeah, I agree that the animation is a lot better and crisper, even though it still has that hokiness of the '90s. But you can tell they actually put some effort into updating the style and how they display action, which they should. Animation has evolved a little bit. 1997.
Yeah. And I found people actually were arguing about the claws and charging them up. And that actually gave me a little reason to look back into lore a little bit. That's actually a thing that Gambit does. When he charges up, it doesn't have to go like full power to the point of something exploding. It can just transfer kinetic energy. So if he like charged up one of his cards and added it to a house of cards, and all of a sudden they all pop up in the air. It's not like the card has to explode and die. It's just kinetic energy is trapped in the card until it hits something
Released.
else.
So technically, let's do this real quick, but we already know the answer. Wolverine, cool character. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
No doubt about
You
that.
know, a lot of new cats don't like him. Like
Why?
the younger kids,
The Gen Zers?
millennials,
Oh,
Gen
they off
Zers,
their rocker. Oh, they
they
on
don't-
TikTok talking shit.
because he's just an angry little man, is what I heard him called. But
That makes perfect sense based up for that generation.
yes.
They're so sensitive.
Why is he so angry? Why doesn't he leave Jean alone? Can't he tell she's got a
He's
man?
toxic. He's so toxic.
Exactly. A lot of kids don't like him. I'm glad you asked that question.
What?
Wow.
Generations,
By far the most popular mutant, and they don't.
Maybe that's why Cyclops got the push that he did, because they were like, let's change this narrative a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah.
They didn't really focus on Wolverine and Jean's relationship that much.
I don't hint at it. But they never really had a relationship. He just had a thing for her, right?
Yeah,
That
He
that's
had.
in
true.
No,
the
I take that
in the
back. In the comic
cartoon.
books,
Yeah.
yeah, but in the comics, yes, there's a version of Jean Grey that he did have a relationship with, but not the Jean Grey.
In the cartoon, it was all about Wolverine rubbing that little picture while he's lying in bed. You seen the meme, you know what I'm talking about.
He's stroking.
Oh,
Man,
Phoenix.
hey, imagine Wolverine in the age of AI creating an AI Jean Grey that he
Yeah.
uses as he needs to.
You ain't gotta do all that, man. Just roll up into the room when everybody's
That's right.
But that's the thing about Wolverine. It makes him a great character because even though he's so gruff and what does he always say? I'm the best at what I do, whatever, which is basically killing folk. Did you guys ever read Wolverine Origins, like how he came to be?
I think so.
You remember how it
Nope.
was? You remember you didn't read it? They went in the 1800s, right? He was growing up in a little small Canadian farm. And you thought this one cat was going to be the Wolverine because he was a big gruff dude. Oh, this is going to be Wolverine. Come to find out, it was the farmer's sickly son that ended up being Wolverine. And he was like the sick kid, always like reading books and just dirty. And then he got mad one day, and that's when you saw the claws pop out. He's like, oh, that was Wolverine the whole time. And so it is hard. He's probably just that sickly little kid, but he's got to put on these airs, and obviously he goes through so much pain with what's it called, Weapon X program and all that, or when remember that in the comic books where Magneto took all the animanium off his skeleton, and they had that picture of him with just the metal all around him. He's just in pain. And so he's always gone through a lot of pain, and I think to me that's what makes him a cool character because he's come from. And there was a one time they had dropped an atomic bomb on Wolverine, and he survived. So he goes through
That was
so
dumb.
His
much
healing
pain.
factor is
Yeah,
ridiculous.
That was dumb.
you thought that was dumb?
They keep on making ways out for him to survive. If he drowns, he can't really ever drown. At some point his body's just gonna give up. If you chop he got pulled in half once by the Red Hulk, I think, in one version.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
At some point, it's got to be like, come on, dude. Atomic
You
bomb.
can't kill him. You can't kill him.
The atomic bomb.
Have either of you watched the latest episode of Invincible?
no, don't tell me. I
No,
need
it
to
came
watch
out.
it.
I haven't watched it.
Yeah, I watched the first episode. I didn't watch the second episode yet, so I'm gonna check it out. But yeah, so it sounds like there's some more stuff like that. But yeah, Wolverine, cool character. Gambit, cool character or not?
Absolutely.
I've
Yeah,
always
it's
liked
definitely cool there. Yeah.
He's a little Pepe Le Pew.
He's
Mécherie.
also
crop top.
like sell-outish, right? Like you don't know where his loyalties lie per se. He's the Guild of Thieves, and yeah,
It's just funny. The mutants are the way they create characters. It's like they drew them first, and then they said, let's give him character traits because it makes no rhyme or reason that how Gambit. It's like, why is his eyes always red? It's just he's got that look. What's that little helmet looking thing for his hair to pop out? He's got his cloak. Who? It's like, guys, they had a fever dream. I'm just gonna draw a character. What are you gonna name him?
Yeah.
So anyway, but yeah, cool character. And when you talk about his power set, maybe you guys know better than me. Has he done something where he had to take the kinetic energy, like something like moving very fast, like a bullet, or maybe, and did that and knock someone out with that? Have you guys seen it? Remember any storylines like that? I can't remember he's done anything like remotely cool with his powers beyond the card tricks. And
it might not be his powers that people are into. It might just be the air that he portrays. That
the Mac Daddy air.
Yeah, just the chill character that's okay with it, getting his energy sucked out of him by Rogue.
Okay,
speaking of Rogue, take it all.
Speaking of Rogue, cool character.
I think she's misused or not. I don't think she's been given like enough meat, at least in the animated series. She just always seemed kind of corny to me. And I'm like, you could do this character a little better. So
I thought it was cool that in the second episode that she was able to take the knowledge that the doctor had and treat Jean and take care of Jean. I thought that was cool. So maybe they're doing a better job of that. But her inability to have human touches was always a plot point in the 90s cartoon. And I would say it got a little old because that was always her thing. I can't touch anybody. I just want to be held. Just hold me.
a southern accent too. You help me. Please, somebody.
Cue the banjo.
But yeah, I thought she was overpowered too, but she because she always saved the day, man. She was always flying in, helping everybody. She was always the strongest. They even had that
That's
scene with
because
the
she
titles.
absorbed Miss Marvel's powers.
But that's that. But then, so what? How long she touches them is how long she keeps their powers for. She has her power set for like decades. So it's
But that's
what?
because Miss Marvel was in a coma,
Yeah, good
unable
point.
to,
So
maybe
I
if they don't
think
get their power back, then she keeps.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, so like I said, it's a little iffy about her power, her rules, the rules of her power. But yeah, you're right. But I think that's the I see what they're trying to do with her. See, they don't do that for all the characters. If they do it well, their power should also to be a blessing and a curse, right? And so I
Yeah.
think they did that well with her. Not all the Wolverine, his healing power, that's a curse too, right? Because they always try to break him apart and do all that, but he has a strong healing factor, so he always comes back. And so I think that's if not all the X-Men get that. That's why they're probably not as memorable as some of the ones that we talk about. But yeah, so in this one episode, Mr. Benjamin's second episode, really it's all about Magneto and his trial for humanity, which is really good. I thought that was just a good juxtaposition of his philosophies and what he felt about human beings. And in the process, Storm and trying to protect Magneto from getting shot by the Executioner, which I vaguely remember from the comics. This is some meathead that's trying to kill off mutants. She ends up losing her powers from a bullet from his gun. And yeah, so Storm is off the board, at least for now. And so I thought that was interesting. Storm, cool character or not?
Yeah, yeah.
Just a goddess. Just
I mean, again, we didn't have very many black characters. I thought her Furlhawk was fantastic, and her power set's amazing.
Yeah.
Right.
Does she still get the vibe that she's a leader in this version?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah. She goes in on the people that are the UN when the mutant haters. Well, what's the name of that group that comes to attack?
Friends of Humanity,
When the
FOH.
Friends of Humanity come after Magneto while during his
FOH.
trial. Yeah.
And they have a caps
funnier
too.
now.
I can't
Yeah.
remember the cap color, but it was not.
It's
it
green,
was-
isn't it green?
Yeah, it's green caps.
But she's barking commands to the UN, telling them you need to get your people out there to help the other X-Men. And then one of the dudes like, "Who are you to tell us what to do?" She's shut up and listen if you want to live, clown. Yes, so
I
she's
like-
definitely
yeah.
a leader.
We'll see where they go with it, but you're right. It's not too many black characters, and definitely a super powerful one as that. But you're right. It's very airy about everything she does, and so it doesn't come off as nearly as cool as they think it is. But when she did lose her powers, I thought it was interesting. Where she's like, she lost them right away. She said, "I can't feel the breeze. I don't feel the weather patterns or the climate," and so that's when she's almost disconnected from the earth.
Interesting. I like that.
Yeah, so I thought that was a good concept. And then at the end, I guess they hinted that Rogue and Magneto got a thing going on. I think that was in the comics.
Magneto was once going to offer up he was like, I can touch you because I can create a small force field around myself. And that freaked Rogue out. And she was like, oh my gosh. And we can do other things too. And she was like, oh my God. And it got all weird.
They're going there. They're going there.
It
And
didn't seem weird in the cartoon hero.
Nice.
That's for sure. Gambit
Yeah.
was upset. Gambit was all
in
dropping
the
his
shadows.
sorry.
Yeah, he's in the shadows.
And that's spooky, man. You watching people like that.
He was creeping.
Yeah, he was
creeping,
creeping. He was creeping.
His girl, man, she came from an older man, and it's tough. Sugar daddy gonna take care of Rogue. Rogue said, I
Yeah,
gotta
right.
get that sugar. I gotta get that sugar.
You got all Charles's money? Oh, wait.
Yeah. He's got a whole asteroid.
That's the money.
He's got that whole asteroid, man. That dude got money. So
Yeah.
anyway, yeah.
Magneto also rescued the Morlocks in this
sure
show, right?
Sure did. The Morlocks, which
Okay.
is never cool characters to me, but it was cool. They have some weird characters. The Morlocks.
That was another point of contention. I walked in the room one time talking about, yo, this Morlocks, this is awesome. These comics are great. I love the Morlocks. And Theo's over in the corner, just bubbling, waiting to go in on me about the Morlocks. I was like, oh man, he didn't like the Morlocks.
You know what? That's awesome, man. That means I'm consistent in my opinions. I love it. 30 years, I have not changed my opinions about the Morlocks.
So they've done a good job, in my opinion, of making some characters that you have questions about whether or not they were cool, making them cool. Morph's abilities the way he used them in the fight against the Friends of Humanity, fantastic.
Yes.
Fantastic. He turned into Lady Deathstrike. He
Yep.
turned into Colossus,
Yep.
right? Who was the chick with the swords that he turned into?
Oh yeah, I liked her, man.
Was it
Is it
purple?
Psylocke?
Psylocke?
Psylocke? Yep.
Psylocke. He
Yeah.
turned into Psylocke.
I'm like, dude, but where you
Wait,
get the swords from? Where you get the swords from? Come on.
Right.
Are they part of his fingers? I don't know.
Yeah, right.
But anyway,
If it gets knocked away, do you lose your fingers?
so
But
yeah,
So
that's a
he
cool
was
character too.
successful.
Cyclock. I liked her. I liked her. And then they
so
finally ended. Oh, go ahead.
I wanted to end this and ask some other questions before we head off.
Okay.
But go ahead.
Yeah, and I think we went all in on X-Men but it's all good.
Okay.
We'll catch up on the other stuff later. So yeah, then they ended it with a little cliffhanger where Jean Grey is about to have the baby, or she does have the baby, and they named the baby Nathan. Nathan
Dun, dun,
Summers.
dun.
Yeah, I know. We'll get into that
Nathan
later.
Charles Summers.
Oh, that's
Dun,
right.
dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. So yes, it's a lot of history there we'll get into. But I think they're gonna get into it faster than we thought because the cliffhanger was there's another Jean Grey that shows up at the door. So now we're gonna get into all the shenanigans that we know and love about mutants and their storylines. So yeah, overall, great 2 episodes. Yeah, I'm super excited about the season and where it goes.
Side note, I
Me too.
really liked Cable in Deadpool.
Yeah, Charles Brolin did a great job as that kind of gruff, no nonsense kind of guy that you think Cable should be like. And I don't know if they're gonna bring him back. What you think? You think he's gonna pop up in Deadpool?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And they're going to bring back as many characters as they can, except for the ones they killed off.
Give me them checks. They'll bring them back too.
I thought you got chopped up in the tree chopper.
Yeah, that's a cool character. That's definitely a cool character. Cable, that's a whole nother shenanigans, man. And
'Cause,
what
see,
what
they,
they're gonna
they
do
got
with him.
the thing that hypes me about this is they've got so many arms that they could reach out from this. When you start with Cable, you start to get into X Force, Alpha Flight, X Factor, the Reavers. They're just all these ways to branch out
What?
into all this.
Yeah, it's true. But I think the real Theo Harvey's point, cartoons are a perfect way to test that. And so they might introduce something in the movies and say, let's play with that in the cartoon and see what people think.
So you
And
think this is
take
gonna be
those.
ongoing, Dr. Chris? You think they introduce these characters and they're gonna keep this show going? I think they could. They should. Why not?
If not this show, they'll have some spinoffs. But animation is such a cheaper way to fail than live action.
Yeah, and that was part of the idea behind some of the live action was the way they could try out some stuff and pre-introduce characters before they're introduced in the movie. So I think it works out great. I think you're right.
Absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, Mr. Benja, Dr. Chris, I think we're gonna probably end it here. We went all in on X-Men 97. So Mr. Benja, are you gonna go ahead and watch it now? We spoiled everything and more, but are you gonna renew your subscription and do it?
Oh man, the real Theo Harvey. Listen, I think I do want to watch it, but I don't know if I can actually bring myself to do that. I don't know about watching it weekly, man. That's one of those commitment things. I'll do it for Hot D, House of the Dragon.
D.
But I don't know about
Dr. Chris, you watch Hot D, House of the Dragon?
I did not watch it. No.
Okay, yeah. So you're not a Game of Thrones
didn't.
guy.
Oh no, I watched Game of Thrones. I read several of the books.
Okay.
Oh, that was
You know,
a slog right there. But
Yeah, me too. Me too.
so I'll
No, it's
eventually watch it. There's so much
okay.
content to watch, so I'll eventually watch it.
Okay, yeah. Maybe we'll catch up again, Dr. Chris, on maybe at the end of the season when the Hot 97. See, I'm mixing Hot D X-Men 97 together. But when X-Men 97 is over in about another month or so, maybe we'll bring you back on if you're open to it and just talk about the season.
Hey, this was fun, guys. I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely, man. This is what we
I
do.
absolutely
So, hey, guys, thank you for listening. Look, please like, subscribe, and comment at Show versus Business on X, YouTube, and Instagram. Listen to us at Spotify, iTunes, wherever you listen to podcasts. And you want to learn more about us, check out our website at Show versus Business. Hey, Mr. Benja, Dr. Chris, take care.
peace, the real Theo Harvey.
out, guys. Appreciate you.